Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 286 based on novel. So let's start. What's going on? Several other ships also noticed something was wrong, and immediately looked around, trying to find clues. After some searching to no avail, he also became hurried. Don't be afraid, Du and Chifei said suddenly. With Du Chifei's comfort, everyone was relieved and left. Underwater, there is something. In an instant, Liu Qing's beautiful eyes flickered, and he said. When Liu Qing spoke, in the bottomless sea, a black shadow of a huge creature suddenly passed by. Even for just a moment, many people noticed something strange. The shadow was extremely large, and there was a terrifying smell all over his body. This ship is a product of the power of space. It should be prepared for us by Tienming Villa. And the mysterious guy below can easily penetrate it. Its strength must not be underestimated. But why did it sink the ship instead of attacking us? Everyone be careful. At this time, Xiao Yan frowned and thought. Okay. When many contestants heard it, they nodded secretly, and then watched the mysterious creatures in the sea at any time. Maybe even Xiao Yang didn't notice. Among the strong, they have a lot of right to speak. Have you found it? I wonder if you little guys will bring me some surprises. Duo Tianhong also sat abruptly on the head of the boat and muttered. This kind of experience is actually just a small game for Tienming Villa to test the contestants. After all, the people who can come to Tienming Villa to participate in the 4 continents competition are all well-rounded people from their respective 4 continents. If they can't pass such a simple level, it's just a waste of time. The boat they were riding on was dozens of feet long, with only the bow and stern, and a fist gap appeared at the bottom of the boat. Suddenly the speed of the boat slowed down, and even the inside of the boat was injected by seawater. Taking countermeasures may sink the ship. This mysterious creature seems to want to sink our ship. But what's the use of it? Seawater? And Xiao Yang's eyes also turned rapidly. As soon as the voice fell, Xiao Yang bent slightly, his palms facing the seawater below the boat support. Zitzi. Just when he touched the cold seawater, Xiao Yang's body suddenly shook, and even his fighting qi was constantly draining. With a sound, his body was enveloped by do qi, and he jumped directly into the sea. Crash. As soon as he poured into the sea, Xiao Yang suddenly felt an irresistible pressure, directly suppressing himself. In addition to the loss of do qi, the sea actually had such a mysterious power. This sea water is strange. In an instant, Xiao Yang's breath soared, he broke away from the control of the seawater, and returned to the top of the boat, so Xiao Yang said with a solemn gaze. Their current distance, although it seems to be very close to Tienming Villa, is actually quite a distance. If the ship is sunk, plus the mystery of the sea, I am afraid that with their current strength, it is not enough. Support them to swim from the sea to the other side. It seems that this is the first level to enter Tienming Villa. It's really not easy. Yun Qi shook her head slightly. At this time, she didn't have a good countermeasure, so she could only pin her hopes on Xiao Yang. Feia, what impression do you have when you have been here before? Although Xiao Yang already had some solutions in his heart, he still turned his head and asked. In an instant, a silver thunderbolt enveloped Du Chifei directly, preventing him from speaking. His grandma, is this too much? Seeing this, Mu Ji couldn't help but utter a foul language. This Tianhong is too cruel. It seems that we can only rely on ourselves. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly. We are like this. After a while, Xiao Yang also had an idea and whispered. Okay. The other 3 nodded slowly when they heard the words. The boats are still moving slowly in this sea area, but at this time, there are endless gaps the size of fists under the boats, and the sea water is like breaking a dike, quickly pouring into the bottom of the boats, allowing these boats about to sink to the bottom of the sea. Xiao Yang and his party were indifferent. I really can hold my breath. This sea area is extremely mysterious and dangerous. If you don't have a ship, you can't leave here with your 2-star 3-star level time. Duan Tianhong muttered in his heart, but he didn't mean to take action. The watering of the boat is too serious. If it is damaged, it may sink in an instant. At this moment, Mu Ji frowned and said to Xiao Yang. Almost. Yun Qi, do it. In an instant, Xiao Yang and Yun Qi went directly under the sea water. At that time, the 2 bodies will be wrapped by the dazzling soul power, but even if the soul power of the 2 reaches the fairyland, they will be rapidly lost under the power of the mysterious sea water. The bodies of the 2 had just poured into the water hundreds of meters below the sea, and suddenly a black shadow of a behemoth came into sight. I found you. Get out of here. An angry roar suddenly resounded throughout the entire sea area. At that time, Xiao Yang and Yun Qi joined forces, the dazzling soul power gathered at one point, and suddenly attacked the mysterious creature in front of him. The next moment, a shocking water column suddenly emerged from the bottom of the sea. And when this sudden change happened, Duo Tianhong's body also suddenly disappeared hidden in the surrounding space. Nice boy, but it's a pity. Meet me, this time will be your death. After a while, the mysterious creature under the sky-shattering water column slowly disappeared, so a small figure emerged directly above the sea, and then a thin-faced man slowly standing in the sight of everyone. The middle stage of the 3-star fighting immortals? Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning just now after correcting this guy. If it was the real situation, he would have the power to fight against the middle stage powerhouses of the 3-star fighting immortals. By the way, I haven't introduced myself yet. I am a member of the Hidden Soul Society, and this sea of dust is the world of our Hidden Soul Society. You, all will be completely reduced to the servants of our Hidden Soul Society. An arrogant voice suddenly sounded, and then the sea became violent. It's really tricky. Seeing this, Xiao Yang also had a headache. I'll deal with it. Yun Chimei turned her eyes and said, because of her soul power, she could find that Xiao Yang's power seemed to be limited a lot. He's really a kid who isn't afraid of death. However, the mere 2-star Dozian's perfect strength, but it's not enough to see. The mysterious man was disdainful of Xiao Yang's attack. In his eyes, this kind of 2-star Dozian powerhouse, no matter how tyrannical the offensive is in his own 3-star battle. In the hands of Dozian's strength, there is only the fate of being crushed, not to mention that this is still in the sea of dust at this time, in his own territory. Without further ado, look at the move. Xiao Yang didn't talk nonsense with this guy. His body jumped, wrapped in dazzling soul power, temporarily overcoming the suppression in the mysterious sea water, and then his feet moved quickly above the water surface, launching an attack on the man. He knows that to fight this guy, he must take thunderous means. After all, this is their territory. Crash. The dazzling flames gathered directly on the ancient ruler of the strange fire behind him, so with the fierce flame power, they directly slashed at the man. However, even though Xiao Yang made such a fierce attack, the giant flame of fire, which was enough to make the 2-star Doshian perfection powerhouse fearful in the past, was greatly reduced above this sea water. Fire attribute. The man looked at Xiao Yang's attack, but opened his mouth in surprise, and even his voice was full of playfulness. Boom. Facing Xiao Yang's powerful blow, the water flowed around the man's body suddenly and strangely, and then formed a water shield several tens of meters in size in front of his body, trying to block Xiao Yang's attack. 7th layer breaking the sky. The bright low roar came directly from Xiao Yang's mouth, and then the hot waves of fire filled the air, adding a lot of color to this sea area. Sister, look, that's Big Brother Xiao Yang? On a boat not far from Xiao Yang's group of 5, the two Tienming also spoke slowly. Xiao Yang. The next moment, Tienming on the side couldn't help but exclaim. The two of them are the sisters of the Yu family, Yu Ranran Yu Wei, and Yu Ranran naturally qualified through the competition. As for Yu Wei, she also obtained the qualification with the help of Xiao Yang, but when Xiao Yang entered the 3rd stage of the competition, because the foreign evil race and the cultivation thing have been forgotten. Be careful. Yu Ranran also knew that at this moment, the only thing they could do was to be careful. But don't underestimate the sisters of the Yu family. After all, the head of the Yu family has a very deep friendship with some old monsters in Tienming Villa. Boom. A giant flame of hot flames suddenly appeared, and it was about to hit the enemy. In front of the mysterious man, a stream of water rose like the sky, and a mysterious repulsive force above the water immediately sent Xiao Yang's attack was isolated. 7 feet together. Seeing that his first strike was blocked, Xiao Yang frowned suddenly. The ancient ruler of the eternal fire was in his hand, and a series of 7 flaming rulers with a size of dozens of feet rushed toward him. The flame giant ruler carried a rather scorching aura. After a while, not knowing whether it was because of the richness of the energy of the heavens and the earth or the influence of the sea, Xiao Yang clearly noticed that his attack seemed to weaken after he let go. Tips for carving insects. Waterproof shield. Facing Xiao Yang's 7-foot flame attack, the man smiled slowly, and the abnormally arrogant arrogance in his voice continued to grow stronger. As soon as he finished speaking, the sea water under his feet wriggled like a elf, and countless water currents easily and completely protected the entire body. Bang bang bang. The hot fire wave hit the water shield, but it did not break the water shield instantly, because the power of its flame was greatly reduced, which made Xiao Yang's attack much weaker, and finally Xiao Yang's flame was huge, was forcibly cracked by the water shield. This time, it's a bit tricky. Looking at the thin man in front of him, Xiao Yan frowned. Obviously, this is the first step in entering Tienming Mountain Villa. Naturally, he didn't want to expose Tianzi and many other means, but this stumbling block in front of him. Its strength should not be underestimated. If it is hidden and tucked, it is very likely that an accident will occur, so it is also hesitant for a while. Although this guy is weak, the flames on his body are a little weird. It seems that this time, there are some good guys here. Master Haisho will definitely be very happy to capture these guys back. Although I don't know why Master Haisho is looking for these strange people. The mysterious man stepped on the surface of the water and resisted Xiao Yang's attack. Whispered softly. With his strength, this flame power actually made him feel a little uneasy, so he sensed something was wrong. The Hidden Soul Society. This is a force living in the Sea of Dust. No one knows who they serve, and no one knows where their base camp is. However, this force is the enemy of Tienming Mountain Villa, so every time the 4 continents compete, they will send troops to intercept the participating disciples. But fortunately, the high-level officials of both sides restrict each other, so the powers sent are almost only some 3-star fighting immortals or less. Guy. But Tienming Villa did not pay attention to it. For them, this behavior of the Hidden Soul Society was to provoke them, but secretly, it was also to eliminate some weak guys in the 4 continents competition. After all, if you can't defeat even such a simple hunt, let alone participating in the 4 continents competition, Fang is just a shame. Let me come. After a while, Yun Qi's delicate body jumped into the water, and he also used the power of his soul to suspend above the sea water for a short time, but when he approached Xiao Yang, his jade hand wriggled, as if he had swallowed something. This guy is very strong. Xiao Yang said solemnly. I'm afraid you can only enter Tienming Villa by defeating this guy, so, give you a little time. After Yun Qi finished speaking, his delicate body suddenly lifted into the air and shot directly at the mysterious man. At the early stage of the 3-star Dozian, she knew that Xiao Yang had many means of destruction, but it took time to use it. This guy has actually broken through the 3-star Dozian. Looking at Yun Qi, who was like a fish on the sea surface, Mu Ji couldn't help but said, just after the voice fell, he suddenly jumped, and also came to Yun Qi's side, look like this, was trying to buy time for Xiao Yang. Is the effect of the medicine pill, as expected of a high-level pharmacist. Seeing Yun Qi's appearance, Xiao Yang also smiled slowly, because Yun Qi also has the fire attribute, but just because he swallowed something, he actually overcame it. The mysterious suppression of the seawater should be due to the use of some high-level medicinal herbs. Forget it, let's try the formation method. After the Dongju incident, I don't know how the formation's power can reach various levels. After Xiao Yang finished speaking, he sat cross-legged directly on the surface of the sea, but inside his body, there were core inscriptions that were extremely mysterious, but they were at a speed invisible to the naked eye. It floods the sea area for several miles. At this time, Yun Qi and Mu Ji met the so-called mysterious man at the same time. Hey, such a coquettish person, wouldn't it be a pleasure if he returned to our Hidden Soul Society? The thin man saw Yun Qi and Mu Ji take a step forward, and immediately focused his attention on Yun Qi. As for Xiao Yang, he ignored it. After all, the strengths of Yun Qi and Mage are the real 3-star Dozian early stage, while Xiao Yang is only a 2-star Dozian complete. However, when his eyes saw Yun Qi, he couldn't help but be surprised. This Yun Qi exuded an elegant atmosphere from the inside and the outside, and he couldn't help but make the man happy. Do it. Looking at some filthy thoughts in the eyes of the thin man, Yun Qijiao snorted and tapped his toes on the sea water, like a dragonfly playing in the water. The fiery red flames on his palms vented out, and the dazzling offensive was undoubtedly displayed. Looks like a little beauty. I can't imagine her temper is so grumpy. You have to let me teach you well. After the thin man finished speaking, a gloomy smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, and his body instantly sank into the sea. Where's the people? Madrigal was also brewing a tyrannical attack, but the next moment he lost his target and shouted hurriedly. At the same time, in the sea below, a huge behemoth several hundred meters in size suddenly jumped out of the water. No wonder it was you who attacked us before, it was this guy. Suddenly, the figures of Yun Qi and Mu Ji retreated to Xiao Yang's side at the same time, protecting Xiao Yang, but when their eyes saw the behemoth in front of them, there was a chill in my heart. Soul-eating whale? The big guy just appeared, and everyone couldn't help but take a breath, and even the soul felt dizzy. What caught everyone's sight was a huge creature with a huge body of 100 zhong. The entire body was a huge creature that stretched in a streamlined shape. It was surrounded by countless water currents and was extremely tyrannical. Moreover, if this soul beast looked at its power, it would have reached the level of immortality. The level of the third rank is enough to compete with the human 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Soul-eating whale, it is said that this soul beast lives in the ocean, and the food is extremely strange. It only swallows souls in its life, so it was jointly killed by many forces. I didn't expect them to have hidden souls. Yun Kamemu flickering slightly. Looking at this guy seems to be training orcs, it's a bit tricky. 2 3-star fighting immortals. Muji also said seriously. Soul-eating whale, swallow them for me. After a while, the thin man stopped talking nonsense with everyone, and ordered. The soul-eating whale twisted its huge body, opened its mouth, and faced Yunqi directly. And go. For it, the more tyrannical soul power, the more tyrannical the strength that can be improved, so Yunqi is quite attractive. Yunqi, be careful. In a breath of time, the attack of the soul-eating whale directly covered the past, without any tricks, directly relying on the tyrannical body. It seemed that he wanted to crush Yunqi instantly. On its body, there are fluctuations in the power of devouring the soul. At this moment, Yunqi also found something wrong, because the streamlined body of the soul-eating whale was actually wrapped by a tyrannical soul power. The consequences are unimaginable. Leave it to me. Just when Yunqi and Muji were in a hurry, Xiao Yang's voice slowly sounded from behind the two of them. The next moment, a fiery energy ripple easily surrounded the 10 li radius. Where are Xiao Yang and that guy? As Xiao Yang's voice fell and the flames spread, the 3 figures suddenly disappeared from everyone's sight. I'm afraid they have entered a different dimension. This Xiao Yang is quite hidden. Muji looked at the sea of fire around and couldn't help muttering. Boom. The next moment, above the sea, the inner space surrounded by flames. This was in Xiao Yang's formation, and Xiao Yang deliberately sent everyone out, so only the 3 of them were left. The power of the formation? Seeing himself and the soul-eating whale disappearing into the crowd in an instant, surrounded by the hot formation, the thin man couldn't help but said, his voice filled with shock. The strength of him and the soul-eating whale is on the rank of 3-star fighting immortals. Even if the guy in front of him uses a normal formation, it is not enough to completely imprison the two. I am afraid that this guy's formation is a bit weird. Don't think about it, in my Purgatory formation, you can't escape without my permission. Xiao Yang smiled at the person and beast in front of him. At this time, the Purgatory formation map, the core inscriptions has reached 33,000. 30,000 Dao is enough to easily imprison Sanqing Dozian, and with the addition of 3,000 Dao, it is not difficult to imprison Sanqing Dozian in the early stage. The power of this formation has grown with Xiao Yang's spiritual strength cultivation, and it is undoubtedly several times more tyrannical than in Dongju, but this is still not the pinnacle of the Purgatory formation, but facing this guy in front of him is enough. Escape. I think it's you who want to escape. The mere 2-star Dozian is complete, and you actually used the formation to imprison us. Do you want to defeat the 2 of us with the strength of 1 person? The thin man said with a look of contempt. Soul voice. Ignoring the thin man's voice, he snorted coldly, and the dazzling soul power emerged, and then like a tide, it swept the entire formation in an instant. What a tyrannical soul power. Soul-eating whale. Soul strike. Although the thin man said contemptuously, he did not take it lightly, and said directly to the soul-eating whale beside him. Crash. The soul-eating whale seemed to have low intelligence. Without the support of seawater, it could only attack with the destructive power of its body, but how could Xiao Yang give it this chance? Hot explosion. Xiao Yang's voice just fell, and his body in the formation was like a ghost, leaving a lot of phantoms in the void, and he easily avoided the attack of the soul-eating whale. If I'm in a hurry, I won't play with you. The fire is coming. In an instant, Xiao Yang's figure was high and below zero, and then he whistled towards the formation space, and dazzling flames gathered from all directions. What a terrifying guy, but... Water spirit snake waterfall. In an instant, the thin man's pupils shrank tightly, and an unrivaled tyrannical aura, accompanied by a huge snake shadow composed of colorless and transparent water, roared towards Xiao Yang. The power of the fire dragon. Destroy it to me. After a while Xiao Yang's body was filled with a great celestial seed, and in coordination with the flame power in the formation, he even stagnated with the thin man's attack. Pick my finger. Xiao Yang smiled at the corners of Xiao Yang's mouth when he saw the 2 stalemate attacks. The tyrannical soul power could distract Xiao Yang and gather his strength to attack. 2 fingers in the sky. Break the sky. A roar like an emperor suddenly echoed in the space of the formation. In an instant, Xiao Yang's fingertips shrank suddenly, and in an instant, 100-jong finger glow, with a sky-shattering momentum, attacked the thin man. Boy! Let's die. Seeing Xiao Yang attack like this, feeling something strange emerging from the man's hands, a ray of light suddenly radiated from the soul-eating whale, as if there was some connection between the two. At the same time, a strange voice suddenly appeared in the formation space. What kind of sound is this? Seeing that his attack was about to hit the thin man in the blink of an eye, he was confused by the sound. This is, why did that lord? Soul-eating whale, let's go. This strange voice just appeared, and suddenly he felt a shock in the man's pupils, and then he glanced at Xiao Yang viciously, his palms tumbling, his strength skyrocketed, and he made a sudden breakthrough. After the formation, it disappeared. This hidden soul society, what kind of power? That voice just now seems to have originated from the bottom of this sea of dust. Seeing the two disappear, Xiao Yang also slowly retracted his attack. Now that this level is over, the next step is to enter Tienming Mountain Villa. Crash. The brutal sound of running water emerged, and the Purgatory formation was withdrawn by Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's figure just now emerged on the sea water. Xiao Yang, are you alright? Where's that guy? Seeing Xiao Yang appearing safely, Yun Qi asked anxiously. Run. Xiao Yang shook his head helplessly and said, if it wasn't for the last moment when the voice emerged, Xiao Yang would have enough conceit to arrest him. Forget it, since we ran away, let's go to Tienming Villa first. Yun Qi and several others also said. By the way, when I was fighting with them just now, did you hear any strange noises? Xiao Yang still had some doubts about this and asked. Strange sound? No, you and them entered the different space, we are calm here, nothing happened. Yun Qiwu looked at Xiao Yang's suspicious look, and said very sincerely. Forget it, let's go. After speaking, he also returned to the boat and headed towards Tienming Villa. That thing just now. As the battle was resolved, Du Tianhong and Du Chifei also returned to normal, but Du Tianhong was still brooding. The voice just now, I am afraid that apart from Xiao Yang, this group of people heard it by themselves. It is clearly transmitted from the bottom of the sea, and according to the induction, it is probably tens of thousands of meters below the sea. The sea area is no better than other places. A few thousand meters is a restricted area for human beings. The interval of tens of thousands of meters is probably as strong as Du Tianhong without any measures. There are a lot of strong people in the Hidden Soul Society, and Tienming Villa does not care about it. I hope I think too much. After speaking, he also covered everyone and headed towards Tienming Mountain Villa. At the same time, the thin man who had just dissipated was in the sea water, riding a soul-eating whale and heading towards the bottom, but his heart was terrified. The reason was the strange voice just now. Put bang bang. After a while, it landed to a certain level, and a human suddenly appeared. Bai Hun, I didn't expect you to fail this time. One of the women with a thin face and yellow skin said, her voice full of irony. Bai Hun is the man who just fought Xiao Yang. Leng Yang, you should ignore my business, otherwise. Bai Hun snorted coldly. You should have heard the roar just now. My lord is looking for you for something. Leng Yang continued. Let's go. The next moment, White Soul took the soul-eating whale directly towards the depths of the sea. That lord has been quiet for hundreds of years, why is this suddenly happening today? That lord is a guy that even Lord Haisho fears, I hope this guy is okay. But this time, the powerhouses that our Hidden Soul Society sent to kill all came back empty-handed. It seems that the powerhouses who participated in the 4 continents competition seems to be the most grand one in history. After Leng Yang finished speaking, he also rode a soul-eating whale, going everywhere. At the same time, without the obstruction of the Hidden Soul Society, everyone easily broke through the sea of dust and came to the periphery of Tienming Villa. The sea of dust was huge, but the huge mountain range that appeared in Xiao Yang's eyes at this time was also huge to the sky, the rolling forest vegetation, the sound of a soul beast, and the rich energy of heaven and earth, all of which were ferocious. Here are the 4 continents. The core intestine belt of the competition, the Tienming Mountains. Crash. The boat that everyone was riding on was already ragged at this time, but fortunately, they still arrived at Tienming Villa in the end. Is this the Tienming Villa? Just after getting off the boat, Xiao Yang's pupils looked around in a circle, creating an impressive creation. The layout of the Tienming Villa is probably more than several times larger than that of the Forge Thunder Valley. Are you shocked? Don't worry, the things that will surprise you are still to come. Duo Tianhong also laughed at this time. Let's go, look for someone first. In an instant, Du and Chifei also leaned over and said. Let's go. Everyone nodded, then counted the number of people, and after confirming that it was correct, they set foot in the mountains. Tienming Mountain Villa is located in the Tienming Mountains. The Tienming Mountains are a rare treasure in all the Yinhunshians. The Tienming Mountains are vast, and the energy of the heavens and the earth is sufficient. The most important thing is that this is the residence of the Lord of the Hidden Souls. The Master of the Plane, this is the strongest person who controls a plane, but the origin of the Master of the Plane is quite harsh. Only the upper plane can be born, similar to the lower plane of Dochi continent, it will not have guru. With a sound, everyone started to move, but Xiao Yan created it. At this time, the Tienming mountain range was surrounded by a sea of dust, and its appearance was like a sphere. At this time, Xiao Yang was everyone is stepping on the ground and heading towards the top of the mountain. Because Tienming Mountain Villa stands on the top of Tienming Mountains. Everyone, but the people who participated in the 4 continents competition. Not long after Xiao Yang and the others left, a team of dozens of people suddenly appeared, and then they became warm and hospitable to Xiao Yang and the others. These dozens of people are dressed in simple clothes, and the strength of the leader is only among the 4-star fighting immortals, but Xiao Yang is a surprising creation. Among them, there is a woman who is seriously injured. The woman is unconscious and seems to be suffering very serious injuries in general. Duo Chifei had just moved forward to prepare to speak, but was directly pushed down by Du Tianhong. Yes, we are a small power above Beiju. We came here this time to observe the grandness of the competition in the 4 continents. After a while, Duo Tianhong grinned and smiled at the group of people in front of him. It was the palm of the back who was madly sending a signal to Xiao Yang and the others. This guy. Dozens of people above Dongju naturally sensed this scene and felt ridiculous, but they also cooperated with Du and Tianhong. Is it Beiju? We also happen to be from Beiju, why don't we go together? After a while, the middle-aged man headed by the dozens of people laughed, and there was a boldness in his voice. If that's the case, then it's better to be respectful than to obey. Duo Tianhong also laughed. Forging Valley Master, what are you doing? Xiao Yang and everyone were puzzled. Hey, you don't know something. Yinhunshan's 4 continents competition, all powers can participate. Except for the overlords on the East continent, the other 3 continents did not set up competitions to screen disciples. Since they did not pay attention to it, they all went to their own places. Only the top of the East continent was due to forging knives. Thunder Valley's submissive status, so Duo Tianhong's authority is full of responses. Therefore, we set up competitions and screened the strong to participate, so as to save unnecessary trouble, and secondly, we can increase the odds of winning. By the way, there is one more point, not all the powerhouses on the 4 continents of Yinhunshan know each other, except for the 4 overlords who rule over the 4 continents, who are similar to the leader of this small power. I don't know Du Tianhong. Soul Eater's voice sounded slowly. Originally, there is still this kind of ambiguity. Xiao Yang nodded immediately after hearing this. There is still a lot of distance between the top of the mountain range. It seems that there are still many levels to enter this Tienming villa. After a while, Xiao's brutal soul force suddenly spread out, but it was a surprising creation. Even if it was a Xiao Yang's current soul strength is not able to give an unobstructed view of the Tienming Mountains, and even here, there is still a considerable gap between the top of the Tienming Mountains. The weather is late today. There are many soul beasts in the Tienming Mountains, and there are many dangers. Why don't we rest here and go on our way tomorrow? Brother Du, what do you think? Yuan Xiao asked. After a few hours on the road, everyone became familiar with it. The group that Xiao Yang met just now was a sect called Yuanzong on Beiju. The sect sent them to the 4 continents to compete and experience, and the leader, Yuan Xiao, was quite strong in the middle stage of the 4-star fighting immortals. For casualness, there is not much shelf. As for Du Tianhong, he used the false information of Beiju Legu to obscure the past. Fortunately, Yuan Xiao was very knowledgeable and did not go into depth, but many disciples above Dongju were extremely puzzled by Du Tianhong's actions. Everything is according to what Brother Yuan said. Duo Tianhong nodded when he heard the words, and then the 2 of them distinguished and took their subordinates towards the flat land in a mountain range, and the second team left the camp with trees as the boundary. Slowly and quietly rest. It is strange to say that this day, the Ming Mountains are quite special. Here, all flying energy and even fighting skills are lost, so if you want to go to the top of the mountain, you can only walk. However, I am afraid that this is also a part of the preparations for Tienming Villa. Forging Valley Master, you are. As the night fell, Xiao Yang and the others sat around the fire and spoke slowly. There were tents everywhere around the fire, so there were some medicinal liquids to prevent poisonous insects. These things were necessary for Xiao Yang to go out. Don't you think it's so easy to enter Tienming Villa? After looking around for a while, Duo Tianhong looked at the fire in front of him and said in a low voice, "It's really not that easy." Xiao Yang also smiled bitterly. Obviously, he could sense that this tyrannical force of the Yuan sect had to end, and I was afraid that something had happened. The Sea of Dust is the first level of every time I participate in the Four Continents competition. Hunggu remains the same. Only through the interception of the Hidden Soul Society can we enter the Tienming Mountains, but after entering the Tienming Mountains, we must absorb the level. But it keeps coming up every time. As leaders, we naturally can't take action, otherwise we will lose the fun of the experience. But I have to remind you that since you entered the Sea of Dust, the assessment of Tienming Villa has already begun. The strong men of Tienming Villa have already followed secretly, and will confirm whether you cheated, and whether we old guys have broken the rules and shot to sponsor you. And what you need to do is to successfully enter the Tienming Villa at the top of the Tienming Mountains. When you enter it, it proves that you have the qualifications to participate in the Four Continents competition. Duan Tianhong said. This day, Ming Mountain Villa has a lot of momentum. Liu Qing on the side heard this and couldn't help but speak softly. That's natural. Every time the Tienming Mountain Villa has a four-continent competition, the awards are extremely rich, but on the contrary, the competition is also extremely brutal. Duan Tianhong said. I remember the last time, from entering the Sea of Dust to entering Tienming Villa, there were 6 tests. I don't know how many tests will be waiting for us this time. Du Chifei's beautiful eyes shone, even at that time. She was young, and when I remembered it now, her face was still a little embarrassing. What was the last Four Continents competition? Xiao Yang asked curiously. I remember the title of the previous competition. It was the Master of the Plane unlocking the power of the plane and entering a certain space to fight for something, but that strange space is full of danger. Du Chifei said. When the words fell, everyone was dumbfounded. Forget it, let's rest tonight and talk about it tomorrow. After Mu Ji finished speaking, he went straight to the tent to rest. You guys can go too, I'll be here tonight. Xiao Yang said when he saw that the figures around him were tired. The other people just wanted to resign, but seeing Xiao Yang's realistic appearance, they had no choice but to give up and go back to rest. The night in the Tienming Mountains is extremely sad and cold, and the cold wind blows in the air, making the mountains add a lot of temperature. Come out. Not long after, Xiao Yang's eyesight turned towards a big tree in the darkness behind the camp and he gave a low drink. Oh! A coquettish voice suddenly sounded from behind the tree. It was created by you. After a while, a little girl with 2 delicate double ponytails was dressed in a black robe that was quite large and incompatible with her body, and then slowly walked out of the darkness came out. This girl is quite young, Fang is only in her early teens, but her body has developed very well. She has eyes and a pair of ponytails, which is quite attractive. Are you, from the Yuan sect? Xiao Yang looked at the little girl in astonishment. He could smell some sense from her body and another camp, and asked. This girl's strength is only a 2-star fighting fairy, similar to herself, but her age is. This is also an unavoidable benefit, not something that can be compared to the Dochi continent. However, there was a mysterious energy on his body that even Xiao Yang himself could not see through. This was what surprised Xiao Yang the most. Yep. My name is Yuan Yang, big brother. Can you help me with one thing? The little girl's eyes flashed with a very frightened expression. She was obviously not very good at chatting with strangers, and her eyes blinked. Asked. What's the matter? Xiao Yang asked curiously. The girl's body smelled mysterious, and she even ran over alone in the middle of the night. I'm afraid something really happened, and this matter was very important to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't risk running into someone else's camp in the middle of the night. Can you save my sister? A firm voice, with a hint of stubbornness, echoed softly. Is that the unconscious woman during the day? Xiao Yang heard this and was unmoved, obviously guessing something before. I know you have incredible strength, but I'm not afraid. And, if you save my sister, I can tell you where Uncle Yuan and the others created the treasure hiding place. Seeing Xiao Yang's indifferent appearance, Yuan Yang couldn't help but gather up his courage. Opened his mouth. What's wrong with her? Xiao Yang asked tentatively. The leader could not take action, but the strength of this disciple of Yuanzong was not bad, and the treasure that could make them retreat in spite of difficulties. I am afraid that Xiao Yang alone would not be able to get involved, so he asked. Sister. Poisoned. Yuan Yang said with a hint of misery in her eyes. Their Yuan Zong, the most exciting disciple this time, was her sister, but when she was halfway into the Tienming Mountains, she encountered some obstacles. In desperation, in order to cover the disciples in the sect, her sister led the soul beast away by herself. Waiting for everyone to find her, she was already poisoned and passed out. Take me to see. Xiao Yang asked if he is poisoned. With Xiao Yang's refining pharmacist skills, I am afraid there is some hope to see. After all, Xiao Yang can solve even the poisonous body. I'm afraid it won't work now. My sister is guarded by many strong people. At this time tomorrow night, I will let them go. Then, I will get rid of them. Yuan Yang spoke slowly, his voice full of anticipation. Okay. Xiao Yang agreed immediately after hearing this. I'm leaving. Thank you, big brother. Yuan Yang made a face at Xiao Yang, then picked up her black robe, jumped directly, and walked towards the darkness. Looking at her appearance, she was obviously going back to them in the camp. This Yuan Zong is not simple. Just as Yuan Yang was leaving, the voice of the Soul Eater slowly sounded. This video will end here.